area, the females go and hide, but the male will distract the predator. He sacrifices himself for the females. Now, he does everything he can to get away, but if he has to, he will sacrifice himself for the females. Now, if this happens, no other male will come and take charge of those females, and they will not go join another group of females. Instead, they're left to fend for themselves, but without a male, how are they supposed to reproduce? Well, the most dominant female changes herself into a male, takes charge of the group of parrotfish. They're not the only species that can do this. There are tons of different fish and amphibians and different creatures all over the world that go from female to male. Even you and I start off as female. All humans start off as female in the womb. At a certain point early on in the pregnancy, depending on whether or not you've been given the Y chromosome, you will start to develop the organs to become a male. Now, certain circumstances will arise where some females do have a Y chromosome, but that's a very complicated topic that I don't have time to go into as far as biology is concerned. So as far as the basics go, that's what's happening with us. Now, it takes about 10 times the energy to go from male to female as it does from female to male. So the majority of species go from female to male, but there are a few that will go from male to female, and you guys are familiar with quite a few of them. One of them, no, actually, well, some of them, yes, so you're right, and I actually do have an example of that one, but the one I was thinking about anyways was Nemo, clownfish. So, clownfish will go from male to female. They don't go from female to male, but they go male to female. So think about it. What's the true story of Finding Nemo? Marlin and Nemo are left over, so Marlin becomes Marlena, and Marlena and Nemo start a whole brand new family. So yeah, that's the actual true story of what would happen if a family of clownfish lose all the rest of the members. There's only 2 males left. One of them will change into a female. They're the only creature that we know of anyways that go where the male actually gets pregnant and gives birth. So the female deposits her eggs inside the male rather than the other way around. Now you mentioned worms. Things like earthworms and starfish, they don't actually need a partner. They'll just split themselves in half and regrow the missing piece. The exact genetic copy of each other. So it'd be like if you could cut yourself in half and then grow a twin from the other half of you. Now, flatworms are a species that will go from male to female. Flatworms, like tapeworms, those are probably the ones you guys know about, are all born male. Every single one of them, they're born male, and they do things a little differently. They will actually choose a partner, and those 2 partners will grow a little bit together, and eventually they learn to fight each other. Now, the loser of that fight becomes female and bears their children. Now, this is also a very interesting testament to biology because you and I have a lot in common with all the different creatures of the planet. And this little change in these flatworms is something that you and I experience as well, but you and I are much more complex creatures than a flatworm. So think about this. Have you guys ever been in a conflict? You ever argued with somebody? Well, it's also the same as sports. So if you've ever played this sport, if you've ever competed with somebody, it's the same thing. So when you're competing, when you're arguing with somebody, okay, so I was a baseball player, and anytime I lost a game, I get this feeling that washed over me. Anytime I've argued with somebody, when all of a sudden I realize my argument was the wrong side of the argument, I get this feeling that washes over me. It's the same feeling as when I lost a game. You guys know what that is? The reason, it is disappointment, but the reason you're feeling that is because that is the hormone estrogen. Your brain is giving you a huge boost of estrogen anytime you feel that. That's what that hormone feels like. Now, when you're competing against somebody or you're arguing against somebody, and you start to feel that you are 110% right, or you just struck out the last batter and you win the game. That feeling you get where your heart starts racing, you start jumping up and down, or when you're arguing with somebody, you start to think to yourself, why won't this person just shut up and listen to me? That is testosterone. So that is what those 2 hormones are doing. That is what is actually happening inside our brains. Now, flatworms, other creatures, very simple. They change entirely. For us, not so much. A little bit of testosterone will put a little bit of hair on your lip, actually. And it's cool because recently, for a very long time, psychologically, we've noticed something called the winner's effect. And it's that most people who are celebrated as the apex, the top of the champion, they will usually go on to continue winning. And it almost has little to do with their skill at all. The second place person can almost always be more skillful, but the person who won will usually go on to win even more. Nobody's really been able to tell us why until recently, and they found out it is because of that testosterone boost. With that extra hormone, it starts to kind of encourage you to go on and win more. It's almost like an addiction. That is why a lot of very successful female athletes are often described as very masculine. It has nothing to do with being manly or feminine or anything like that, but it's because they've won so much, they're so used to winning that they've gotten a lot of testosterone pumped into them so that their muscles can develop faster. But the problem with this is testosterone is very taxing on the body. That is also why males usually tend to have an earlier earlier age to pass than females do. That's why females live a little bit longer than men.
Yes, I will. About 10 years.
Now, another deal that we are related to the animals of the island is the way that dolphins sleep. So you and I, when we sleep, we shut off our brain and we pretty much go unconscious, letting our subconscious take control of our dreams and go all over the place. But dolphins can't do that. They need to remember to return to the surface to breathe. So they only turn half of their brain off, and then they'll rest that part. And then when that's all rested up, they'll turn it back on and turn off the other half. Now, you and I can do that as well. We can actually go through that process. And if you need to, you have to be terrified. So if you want to learn how this goes or you want to feel this, go somewhere you've never been before, where you know not another soul. Go out into the middle of the wilderness and try and fall asleep. You probably can't. But if you lay there for enough time, you will still feel rested. And that's what you're doing. You're turning off only half of your brain to rest, but you're not going to sleep because you're going to be aware of your surroundings. Now, it looks like we are moving away from the main body of the reef. So this is a good point in time for me to kind of point out how important the coral is, because as soon as we get over all this white sand, you don't really get to see a lot of the fish anymore. So even just a few feet away from the coral, and the fish don't like to venture out after that. So if you guys have taken a look at your clothing and everything, you may have noticed that we lost a lot of color down here. If you guys came down with us expecting to see the coral reef like you would on National Geographic or the Discovery Channel or something like that, you're probably a little disappointed. Just being completely honest with you, that's what a lot of people tell me. I don't know if disappointment's the right word, but some people have said that to me. So the reason for this is because those TV programs don't tell you about the high-powered artificial lights they have behind their cameras. What we are showing you is natural sunlight. We don't have any lights on the outside of our submarine, other than navigational lights for other boats that are driving by us when we're at the surface, but those don't illuminate the underwater world. So what you're seeing is what it looks like actually illuminated by the sun down here at about 97 feet of water. So take a look towards myself here, and I've got this little plush crab, all right? What color do you guys see? Black or purple? Those are always the ones that I get. Yeah, purple if you're sitting close to us. Purple if you're close. Black if you're far enough away. If I hold it up to the viewports and you still have a view of it, you can probably see a little bit more of that purple color to it. Yeah. All right. If I hold it up to the artificial light here and ask my pilot to turn on the lights inside the cabin, yeah, that's right, red. So you got a very true cherry red color on this crab here. With this artificial light, you can see that as well. So take a look at your clothing. If you were wearing red, you can see it with these lights on. Once these lights get turned back, we go back off. We go to sunlight filtered through 100 feet of water. All those reds go right back to purple. So after 35 feet, the color red is the lowest frequency that you and I can see, and the color red is diffused in the water column. The deeper you go, the more light we lose. And the reason that the color of the rainbow, the reason the rainbow is the order that it's in is because of the frequency of the colors. They vibrate at a certain frequency and it actually quickens as you go down. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and purple would be the fastest frequency. That's why it penetrates larger. But I do have a question for you guys. If purple is the last color of the rainbow, where did it go outside of the viewports? Because it's 600 feet down in the ocean, the only color you can see is blue. No other color exists down there, so where did purple go?
Over the rainbow.
That's a good answer. That's my favorite one so far. The reason for the okay, first of all, guys, have you ever seen purple, orange, or yellow? No, you haven't. Even the yellow shirt in the middle right there, none of us have ever seen yellow. None of us have ever seen orange, and none of us have ever seen purple because they don't exist as far as we're concerned. As humans, we can only see red, green, or blue. Now, if you're colorblind or you're an extremely unique female, you would be known as a tetrachromat. You can see 4 different colors, but the majority of people, about 99.99% of everybody who's ever lived, can only see 3 colors, red, green, and blue. The other colors are your brain playing a trick on you by combining them. The color purple that you and I perceive is red combined with blue. Now, if you're an artist, you might be sitting here thinking, what about red, yellow, blue? I thought those were the primary colors. That's true for paints and colors like that, but for light, it's red, green, and blue. Now the real color purple, that's ultraviolet light. So if you guys have any neon colors down here, you should see it glowing. If you've ever been underneath a black light, you've seen these glowing. And if you guys smile real big and make sure that blue light hits your teeth, take a look at your neighbor's teeth, and you should see a very faint orange glow coming off of them. Now, if you don't see that orange glow, you might want to tell them to brush their teeth a little bit better because it comes from the fluoride in your toothpaste. Every time you brush your teeth, the fluoride will deposit itself in the enamel, and that strengthens your teeth, but it also gives it a glow when you don't have the red light. Bad for the brain, great for the teeth. Oh, wow, yeah, that is a free swimming eel on the port side. That is pretty rare, actually. It's even rare just to see an eel down here, but to see it free swimming, that's actually pretty spectacular. So it just kind of deposited itself underneath the mast there of this next shipwreck. Once again, guys, we are going to turn ourselves around, get you guys on the starboard side of view after this. Keep your eyes peeled all over the place because we get some pretty interesting species that like to visit this shipwreck. Now, do you guys believe in unicorns?
Yeah.
Good, because there's one out there. It's called the pale-tail unicorn fish. You know, the fish, the bigger fish, all the way up top. It was going up and it now just changed to going down. Pale-tail unicorns aren't real. Just remind them that you have seen them before. They will call you crazy and then tell them it's a species of fish.
It's not on the colors are all the same. It's not something you see every day.
Yeah.
It's just not the same.
Yeah, it's going to be a blurry blob.
All right, so this shipwreck that we're at, they asked him the name of the boat. He decided to call it the Crazy Lady.